Welcome in. We start a brand new week here on Three Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad, the whole gang back together on this Monday. It's a gorgeous Monday. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. Plenty of basketball as we have now entered the month of March, which means the madness is upon us.
It's championship week, Pat.
It is.
This is where we dial in. We get day basketball, and we identify teams that we have not identified yet this season, like most of them. A lot of them that will be playing this week. I love championship week.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Remember Peter Kiss from the Bryant Bulldogs?
I do remember him.
He was the story for about 3 nights.
You know, the Drew brothers, they were big back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we will see who steps up and become the Cinderella over the next couple weeks. Should be a lot of fun. Well, Bama Auburn over the weekend, plenty to get into there. We've got bubble talk. Does Auburn deserve a potential landing spot in the NCAA tournament? So much to get into. As always, the phone lines are wide open for you on this Reaction Monday. We are guest free. We are all about your reaction to the weekend, and there was a lot that went on. 1-800-239-WJOX, the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. So we welcome those texts as well. Let's start with Alabama. 5-game losing streak as they went up on Rocky Top. Knew that it was going to be a difficult game because it seems like Tennessee always clamps down defensively speaking. It's going to be a very tough game for Alabama. Alabama trailed all but 22.8 seconds of the entire game. Feinlein's shot went through the net at 22.8 seconds. That was the first lead that Alabama had the entire game. Feinlein down the stretch was just so impressive. It reminded me of, what this Alabama team did a couple years ago, making it to the Final Four, because when the chips are down and you got to have someone that can drive the ball to the basket, and I know it wasn't a layup, it was like a short jumper, but man, Feinlein took over the last 6 minutes of that basketball game for Alabama.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and that's the guy that you have to have if Alabama is going to make a deep tournament run, and brought it up. Without him last week, who was going to be that guy, that dribble drive type of guy for them? But he's a guy, he can do it all. For Tennessee to shut down Alabama and what they did in the first, 4 or 5 minutes of that game without getting a point, and you get to the under 16 timeout. But for Alabama to stay in there, to come, keep it within striking distance, lock down on the defensive end, and then hit some big shots. You mentioned the first game and the opportunities that Tennessee did not allow Alabama. Much similar to what we got in this one. Alabama was only able to get off 27 shots from outside the arc, 26 in the first game in Tuscaloosa. The difference, though, they hit 4 more shots Saturday beyond the arc than they did that first matchup.
Yeah, they hit the 10 3-pointers, but you also look at I'm glad you brought it up, because I know a lot of times we kind of take shots at Alabama's defense, but you can't say enough what they did. The last 2 minutes and 9 seconds of that basketball game, Tennessee didn't score.
That's good to see that they can play that way when they have to play.
Absolutely, and especially that last flurry of activity around the rim. So Alabama hit 7 of their last 9 shots, to end the game. But Alabama trailed by 13 points with 12 minutes left. And when you're on the road in the SEC, especially that place, and you got a 5-game losing streak, you can't say enough about what Alabama was able to do Saturday.
No, it was big, and for Rick Barnes and for Tennessee, 3rd game that they led by double digits in the SEC. Kentucky twice, and now Alabama, and not being able to hold on to that lead. But no, that's a huge win for Nate Oates and the Tide.
No, it is. Let's hear from Nate Oates after the game. He was pretty happy in regards to what took place in a very interesting exchange with Coach Rick Barnes after the game.
Before I get into this, how much respect I have for Coach Barnes, how he conducts his program, they've had their way with us here recently. We were on a 5-game losing streak to him. He's one of the best coaches in America, but I think he's also one of the highest character coaches in America. So after the game, obviously the game was similar the other way last year with an unbelievable comeback by them. And his comment to me as soon as he shook my hand was, man, after the way that game went last year, you guys deserve this win. So it's great that we got the win. I'm not sure we necessarily deserved it, but we did fight hard, and I appreciate Rick's sentiment.
It really was. You think about it, it was almost 1 year to the date. It was on March the 1st last year when Tennessee hit that game-winning shot right past half court to beat Alabama. It was on March the 1st. And so it was a day earlier for the 1-year anniversary. But for Alabama, basically outplayed Tennessee last year. Tennessee gets the win. Then the tables are turned on Saturday night because Alabama was outplayed by Tennessee, but Alabama gutted it out and got the big win.
No, they did, and now we turn our attention. Obviously, you got Georgia coming up. That's another quality win that you can pick up. Auburn in Coleman Coliseum to end up the regular season. But bracketology, what does that look like? Alabama solidly was on the 4 line, but could be trending a little bit higher. I don't know what the latest bracketology will reveal, but there's still some moving parts to be settled. But Nate Oates, Alabama, to be underneath that 5 seed line. That's big.
No, that's good. That's big for Alabama. Bama now 22-7 overall, 12-4 in the SEC. They need another win this week, and you can go ahead and mark it down. They will have a double bye in the SEC tournament, and that would be huge. And so it all depends on how you play over the course of the next couple games, whether you're going to play, obviously, that double bye, which means you're off until Friday. And then if you win there, you play it Saturday at 2:30. And then Sunday at noon would be the SEC championship game. So that's kind of what's in store for the Tide coming up.
Stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for the SEC tournament. Stay healthy. You don't want to get too much out of your routine, but stay healthy. Winning that thing is you've got bigger fish to fry. But I'm sure it would be nice to cut down. I wonder if you anonymously polled SEC head basketball coaches winning the SEC tournament. Where is that in there? We know where it is with John Calipari. We don't need.
Do you want to win the SEC
again.
tournament, Conrad, or are you good with taking the 4 seed and going on to the tournament?
Well, we'd have to play Florida, so probably not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it would be great, but at the same time, first off, we know it's not going to really change anything seeding wise because that's already going to be settled by the time they would play on Sunday. But
it might be settled by Friday.
Correct. So it doesn't matter in terms of seeding. I mean, it'd be great, but I'd rather be healthy and good to go for.
Because for all intents and purposes, I mean, look at the projection of these teams. No offense, and I know anything can happen. It's all about matchups, and top players from elite teams go down, like we saw with Michigan. But I think that there's one team after the SEC basketball tournament that has a chance to win another title, and that would be Florida.
Yeah,
I think most people who watch college basketball would agree.
And I think that would be the one takeaway if you are rooting for Alabama to win the tournament is to see them beat Florida, and then maybe that gives you more confidence that you could take down a big dog in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I mean, I think Landrum, you hit the nail on the head. Injuries have been big for Alabama this year. You just want to be healthy, especially Phylon because he's been dealing with that thigh injury, whatever he had to sit out last week. Just
and those are tricky.
Make sure he's 100% for the big dance.
Maybe that's the secret now of Phylon, like 6-man, like just come off the bench.
Just come off the bench.
Yeah, don't start him. Just come off the bench.
That's a heck of a 6-man to bring off the bench.
Yeah, they did that with Reitzel. It worked well. So
yeah,
there's programs in the Big Ten that do that on a regular basis.
So we talked about it on Friday after Auburn played earlier in the week. You heard Bruce Pearl basically say that it was a must-win for his Auburn Tigers if they were going to make the NCAA basketball tournament. Well, funny thing happened. Ole Miss, losers of 10 in a row, a team that looked absolutely hapless in those 10 games in which they have lost in SEC play. They come to Neville Arena, which most people would agree it's one of the toughest places to play in the SEC. Well, not anymore because Auburn was a 10-point favorite when this game tipped off against Ole Miss.
Neville Arena can only do so much because I got to go to basketball games the first year that Neville Arena was there, like the Senmion Bowers, Bruce Pearl, one of his first classes that was there. It does matter the product that you put in that building. And all the voodoo and all the fun we have at Jordan-Hare Stadium, you have to be able to defend. This Auburn basketball team cannot defend.
No, it can't.
And I don't think it's one guy. I don't think it's one individual reason why. I think it's a multitude of things. But do they have to play any more games? I'm serious. It's bad.
No, I mean, it is bad because Ole Miss went into the game. I mean, this is a elixir for a team that wants to improve their outside shooting because Ole Miss averaged 4 3-pointers a game. That's what they made on average before the Auburn game. They hit 10.
Yeah.
10.
You shoot 40%. Auburn continues to be one of the worst teams in the country at defending the three.
That is the third time in the last 4 games that Auburn's opponent has knocked down double-digit shots from beyond the arc.
Well, they hit, half of them in the first 6 minutes of the game, it felt like?
So dating back now 2 weeks, these must-win games. Must win in Starkville. Must win at home against
Kentucky,
which
they did.
Right. Going to Oklahoma, losing that game the way that you did, allowing Oklahoma to hit 33s. That's what it seemed like. And then coming back home to that Ole Miss team, favored by 10 in your home arena, and to let them have their way with you?
And you lost all those games because you gave up a lot of three-pointers.
No perimeter defense.
I still maintain, and body language has been terrible, but if the emphasis was on defense, and Stephen Pearl can scream his head off at these guys, but there's a disconnect or a blatant disconnect.
Yeah.
Where it's, you know what, we're done. Rocco Miller, we both agreed 2 weeks ago, body language was terrible. It's continued. This is going to go down as one of the more disappointing seasons in Auburn basketball because this team, the record, what it is, and the schedule, what it is, there's no way this team is that bad. They've proven it. You don't go to Gainesville and win for the first time in 30 years being a terrible basketball team.
Or do what you did at home against Arkansas.
But they have turned into a terrible basketball team and one that I don't care to watch play anymore. Not this season.
Tigers had 14 turnovers. Here's a stat that it's not the sexy stat, because everyone wants to talk about three-pointers, stuff like that. Auburn was outscored bench points by Ole Miss 28-4. 28-4 by a team that had lost 10 games in a row.
Well, they had, was it Store that had like 22 points on the bench for Ole Miss? I mean, single-handedly.
Auburn has now lost 7 of their last 8. Tigers take a quad 3 loss. That is a quad 3 loss. That is a devastating resume hit.
Well, you're playing like a quad 3 team.
Yeah.
At best right now.
Yeah.
You're playing like a quad 3.
And so as we turn the calendar off of the month of February, Auburn won 1 game in the month of February. 1.
At least it was Kentucky.
1-6.
And ultimately, this will fall at the feet of Stephen Pearl. And that's part of being the head coach. But it will be interesting to see with Auburn wanting to hire a general manager for basketball for the offseason, replacing this roster. And was this more of, because I did see someone writing, was this roster put together per Bruce Pearl's specifications and how he wanted this team to look and how he coached this team? How much of a difference are we going to see with Stephen Pearl and the guys? And I realize he helped bring those in, but how much different will the makeup be next season? Because next season, you roll out this again, John Cohen, what's John Cohen going to do?
Puts him in a very precarious situation.
Yes, it does.
Big time.
What you're praying for is that Alex Golish gets to a bowl game and win some games if you're John Cohen.
Take the pressure off.
Yeah.
All right, so the Tigers have made 5 straight NCAA basketball tournaments, so that's now in jeopardy based on what has taken place over the last couple weeks. A press conference that took less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds post-game. Stephen Pearl was not a jerk. I was watching it live. I was recording it, and he handled it. He just didn't have anything else to say.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think you get to this point of the season.
Without throwing – I think without – letting everybody in behind the scenes at whatever's going on in that building, what's going on throughout the season with personalities. Yeah, you say what you can say and you move on.
Yeah. Well, here's Stephen Pearl. This is the very first part of the very brief post-game interview with Stephen Pearl.
Yeah, really disappointed. I want to apologize to our fans who have been so phenomenal all year. They deserve better from us, and we got to do better. Up 7 in the first half, and they take the 1-point lead at halftime, and we're up 8 in the beginning of the second half, and just don't do a great job of converting those opportunities. And we had an opportunity to step on their throats and extend the leads, and both times we just had empty possessions offensively, and can't do that.
All right, so Auburn has lost 7 of their last 8, and you've mentioned it, Landry, multiple times about body language. It just at times the basketball team just does not look like it's fluid. It doesn't look like it's playing together as a team. You got individuals that are having good statistical games. I mean, Pettiford had 24 points. Keyshawn Hall had 21 points, right? But what's going on with Murphy? Keyshawn Murphy. Take a listen. This was the last thing. This was the very last thing that was said at the press conference, and this is kind of a throwaway, but Stephen Pearl dropped this knowledge to the press after the game.
Steven, second straight game that Murph doesn't play a ton and struggles when he's out there. Just kind of what do you think's kind of gone on here these last couple games, or especially tonight?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He came out gimpy, in the first half. I'm not sure what happened, so I need to talk to Clark and see exactly, why he wasn't out there late. But no one came to me and said anything about him, so I'm not really sure exactly what it was. But, Phillips plus 8 in 23 minutes, so that probably – and Murph's minus 14. So, Murph's got to be better. Murph's, 20 minutes late to film on Thursday morning. That's why he doesn't start. And, kind of carried over to his performance tonight.
What?
Show up 20 minutes late to film. Nothing to say here. Everything's good.
I'm gathering that we've had multiple suspensions. Keyshawn Hall. Who else has been suspended? Is that the only one that we've had?
That's the only one that I know of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else maybe like this situation where you play but you don't start. But, yeah, Hall's the only suspension.
So it's not far-fetched to think that there's been a lot of turmoil within that building for a season.
Just don't want to put the effort in.
No. And that's obvious by losing 7 of their last 8.
And these guys, they can fall back on, well, this is not the guy that we signed up to play for. And I understand that. But you still have to put tape out there. And I'm not saying, but.
And you're still getting paid.
Yes.
Let's not forget about that.
You're still getting paid.
It's like, I didn't sign up to play for him. Well, you know what? Every 2 weeks, you're probably getting a nice, sizable stipend.
But congratulations, you're getting national network television package for you to go and show whoever, whether it's the G League, whether it's the Euro League, the NBA, or your next college destination, how valuable you are.
Mm-hmm.
But those kinds of things, they show up.
Well, and you probably look around the locker room and not an excuse for him, but if you see other guys that aren't giving the effort or they're showing up late to stuff, I'm like, well, okay, I'll do it too. I don't care. If I was going to give all right, that looks like what you would like to see, the guy from Europe, Jovic, would be the guy that I would nominate for that award, whatever we call that award for Auburn basketball this year.
Yeah. No question.
The I Care Award. I actually care.
So let's slow down on keeping the Euro players from coming over here. I think
we need more of them.
Some of them are actually good for team morale.
All right, so what does this mean for the Auburn Tigers? When we come back on three-man front, we'll get into the loss. What does it mean? A lot of you out there thinks they're dead in the water. No matter what happens over the course of the next week and a half, that Auburn basketball is not deserving of a trip to the NCAA tournament. We'd love to hear from you, 1-800-239-WJOX. We'll even hear from Bruce Pearl. Yes, Bruce Pearl. He spoke this morning on national television about the Auburn Tigers. We'll hear what he has to say.
Is he tired of being retired?
I don't know. He didn't mention that. That's all coming up next on Three Man Front.
It's championship week in college basketball. Three-man front here on this Reaction Monday. I love that song. Is this John Tesh?
It's great.
I don't think it's John Tesh.
Really?
No.
Well, how about our friends at Noto Roofing? Chris with Noto is going to actually come by my house this afternoon. We're going to do the water test, whatever that entails. But this is how thorough Noto Roofing is going to be. You can give them a call. They're locally owned and operated. You're going to deal directly with the owners, Sammy and Matt. In fact, Sammy will answer the phone when you give them a call today. But a great company, a reputable company. You can look at Noto Roofing, look at the reviews, and see what people around Birmingham, the state of Alabama, have said. I'll tell you about the inspections and the process and making sure everything on your roof is functioning properly. That includes gutters. That includes your shingles, of course, but also flashing around different penetrations. They're going to make sure that you're good to go. And that's a lot of what I've learned in this process is just because you think you're good there, look out for this over here. This could give you problems down the road. I hate unforeseen problems. I bet you do as well. It's Noto Roofing. Great local guys. NOTOroofing.com. 205-848-2299. NOTOroofing.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
So we asked the poll question today to our audience. As of today, and you were on the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee, would you award Auburn a bid? Pretty simple. Yes, no. As of this moment, 90% of our audience said no. 90%.
Smart audience.
Said no. Would not give Auburn a bid. Pretty amazing. You look at Joe Lenardi, Saturday night late, because he has not posted anything new, but Saturday night after the Auburn loss, he still has Auburn in the NCAA basketball tournament. They're one of the last four teams in. Auburn joined Santa Clara, Indiana, and New Mexico on Lenardi's last four in list. Lenardi says the SEC will get 11 bids in the 68-team field, with Florida moving up to the 2 seed after their impressive victory against Arkansas the other night. So, according to Lenardi, they're in. Rocco Miller, I've been in communication with him this morning. He will be on the show on Wednesday in his weekly segment with us. He's got Auburn out right now. Bracket Dom, who is no, not Don, Bracket Dom, D-O-M. He is another one of these bracketologists that has a very high percentage in projecting brackets each and every year. He still has Auburn in. He has them as an 11 seed playing California in the first four.
Don does?
Bracket Dom.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I think Don would have Auburn playing in the CBI.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's done. He's been done with them, though.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. So
I don't know how you watch that team play if you're an Auburn fan, and I don't think they do, and you want to see that team limp into the tournament, get some kind of token. I know it would be based on strength of schedule, but does eye test not matter anymore?
do you remember when you and I first started paying attention as kids, and even to the point till we got into this business, that it used to always be like, how are teams performing the last 10 games?
Yeah.
Like seriously.
That's how I was
Like-
raised.
Like if you
Probably
want
a good metric to take into account.
if you want to tank, you better be bad in January. Like you don't need to be trending the other direction late February, early March.
No.
You take a look at their last 10 games, okay? So before we hear from Bruce Pearl, who was on what's it called? Wake Up Barstool or something?
Yeah, on FS1.
Okay, FS1.
Yeah.
Before we hear what Bruce Pearl has to say about the Auburn Tigers, I want to remind everybody that Auburn has beaten teams that is currently number 1 in the SEC, Florida. They've beaten number 3, Arkansas, and they have been beaten the 4th team in the SEC. That would be Kentucky. But I also want to remind everybody that they have lost to teams that are tied for 12th in the Southeastern Conference, that being Mississippi State and Oklahoma, and they just lost to the 14th place team
Well,
in the Southeastern Conference.
but the big cherry on top, and to give this guy a attaboy at the end of the season, lose to LSU at home.
And then beat Alabama.
Yes, and beat Alabama. But the worst team in the SEC, and I said I thought LSU would get another win, and I think this is the one.
Okay.
Oh, you're picking LSU tomorrow now.
Why would you not?
Can't argue against that.
Are we convinced, besides Jovic and the kid from Huntsville High School and maybe a couple of others, that the rest of the team is even going to make it to the arena?
That might be 20 minutes late.
All right, let's hear from Bruce Pearl this morning on FS1. This is what he had to say about the Auburn Tigers.
They're a last four in, and you never want to be in the last four in because any upset in the tournament and you're the first four out. So they got LSU tomorrow. They've got to beat LSU. The last regular season game is at Alabama, and that's going to be hard. Now, we did win there last year, but Alabama's playing really well. They're a team right now that, as you're looking for who might be a Sweet 16 team that could slip into the Elite Eight, the way Alabama's playing. And so I don't know that they get that one. Here's what Auburn's got to do. They're going to beat LSU at home, and they probably need to win their first round in the SEC tournament. They've got 5 quad one wins. They've got the best win in college basketball on the road at Florida as far as that margin. It's either the best or one of the best. So they got a little bit more work to do.
And then you're going to throw on your Ohio shirt, and you're going to be rooting for them in the tournament. And I'd love to be behind closed doors if you have to cast a vote, and it's Auburn or a one-loss Ohio team from the tournament, and see which way this vote goes, because I got a feeling I know which way it's going.
Mm-hmm. But there's no love of my son. I mean, there's no nepotism involved here.
All right.
I'm not in the room.
There's no nepotism.
David, someday you'll give it to your son. Someday you'll give it to your son.
All right, so Bruce Pearl quoting the 5 quad one wins. It's I like the way that he did not bring up the fact that Auburn has 11 quad one losses.
Well, back when I brought it up the Monday after they won in Gainesville, I said, keep your eye on this game because this could be the tipping point or the one that kind of splits Auburn not making the tournament and making the tournament. Now, when I said that, I never envisioned that Auburn would have the final stretch that they've had and losing to some of the teams that they had. And some of the better teams when they were playing better basketball, I would have thought, you know what, maybe they get that one at home. Coin flip game in that one.
And I got news for
But now to think that this is still keeping this particular team. How long ago was the Florida win? It was
what, 2 months ago?
It was early in the conference season, and I understand, and that is the most impressive win. But what about all the losses and how they've played?
Well,
and how they've lost games.
And the fact that he brings that, well, you know, we went to Tuscaloosa and won last year. That was a Final Four team.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
This is not a Final Four team, not even for an NIT.
No,
like,
and
what is he talking about?
Well, but then he goes, he said, I think that's going to be a tough one to get, and he compliments Alabama. I understand him supporting his son, but this has not been the opening season that Stephen Pearl, I think, would have liked. And heading into the season, fair or unfair, next year, the seat's got to be warm.
Okay, let's just say this. Because history will tell you any team with 16 losses has never made the NCAA tournament.
No.
From an obviously at large. You've had
you've
had
conference
upsets
champions,
in conference championships, stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say that they lose to LSU tomorrow night.
You're done.
Okay. But then you beat Alabama.
You're done.
Then you win your first game in the tournament. Let's say you win a couple games in the SEC tournament. But then you lose, and that gets you to your 16 losses.
I think if they lose either of the next 2 games, they're done.
I think they're done now. I don't even think we should be having a long discussion about this.
But if you beat LSU and Alabama, and
I think
then
they're
win your
holding
first game in
they're
the
holding
tournament,
that
they'll get
spot
out.
right now, but some things will happen either this week. Things will shake out. We'll bump them off that spot.
I completely agree. It's inevitable because there are going to be some upsets in conference tournaments. There's going to be some things that happen that will probably knock Auburn completely off the line.
Well, and they talked about the team right there. I'm sorry, if Miami, Ohio goes 33-1, they deserve to be in the tournament much more than Auburn does. I don't care what conference they play in.
Well, this goes back to expanding the field and having teams like Miami of Ohio, if they have the slip up in the conference tournament, but they've gone undefeated, they won their regular season, that they should be in.
Speaking of that, when we come back on 3 Man in Front, we'll hear from Bruce Pearl again Bruce Pearl this weekend went off about Miami of Ohio. Wonder why. Maybe he was wanting to make sure that Auburn had a bid and that Miami of Ohio didn't take his boy's spot in the NCAA tournament.
He's got free time, Pat.
Yeah, we'll get into that next here on Three Man Front. I know we are days away from the Iron Bowl of basketball wrapping up the regular season for both Alabama and Auburn at Coleman Coliseum. I checked in with Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider. Just like someone that follows the business, I asked him, I said, right now, it's Monday. Tell me what the point spread would be. Like, what would you put right now on Alabama and Auburn? What would you say, Conrad? And this is from Brian, based on today.
Just knowing the circumstance, Auburn has their back against the wall. I'm going to go Alabama 6.5 at home.
Okay.
I will go Alabama 9.
9, Molly?
I was thinking 8.
According to Brian Edwards, Bama today would be a 10-point favorite.
Okay.
Well, that can happen.
Home gym, can't defend the 3. What does Alabama do well? How is this team playing? Yeah. Load me up.
And don't you think Nate Oates would love to make a statement on Saturday against Auburn?
Of course.
Potentially knock them out of the tournament for good. Yeah.
If you want to play that narrative.
I think that's probably a narrative that they would never admit publicly, but deep down, it plays.
Well, I think he was saying if you think that Auburn still has a shot to make it.
I got you.
Yeah, if you want to try to manufacture something to your team to get them fired up to play this team.
Yeah.
No.
It's the Kirby Smart
There will be
special.
no Janai Broom coming out and spotting up for threes to begin this game.
No.
Maybe Chad Baker Mazzara now.
Yeah, he had an interesting tussle there underneath the goal, if we can remember. Who was the kid, the transfer for Alabama last year? Youngblood.
Chris Youngblood.
That
Yeah,
was
they
it.
got into a
He was sneaky dirty.
Yeah, oh yeah. They'll throw elbow.
Yeah.
Well, flu season is here, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go and find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
So it's been an interesting debate over the last couple weeks. I've seen Wally Zerbiak because he is a Miami of Ohio graduate, and he is on CBS Sports. You will see him during the NCAA basketball tournament. There's been this open debate on what happens if Miami of Ohio, who has absolutely smoked everybody in the MAC, they're the only undefeated team left in America in basketball. And let's just say that they stub their toe and they do not win their conference tournament. Obviously, people are going to start pointing to the metrics and pointing out that Miami of Ohio does not look very good when you look at KenPom or you look at net rankings or anything else under the sun, and that they would not be deserving, even with one loss, of making the NCAA tournament. So Wally Zerbiak has defended his alma mater. Meanwhile, Bruce Pearl on TNT this weekend had this to say about Miami of Ohio.
Miami, Ohio, here's the deal. Are we going to select the 68 most deserving teams, or are we going to select the 68 best teams? If we're selecting the 68 best teams, then Miami, Ohio is going to have to win their tournament to qualify as a champion. Because as an at-large, they are not one of the best teams in the country. And that's going to be a difficult choice for the committee to make.
The MAC has not had multiple teams, multiple bids since 98-99. So that's almost 30 years ago. And the strength of schedule for Miami of Ohio, 321st. It doesn't look good when we're weighing resumes, which is what's happening with the bubble talk right now. You mentioned New Mexico.
Correct.
They're one of those first 4 in, first 4 outs. These are always a little deceiving because you don't know who the first 8 in or the last 8 out are. But what is this moment like, this bubble time? I know you're thinking about this right now with your son as well with all.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play your way in or you're going to lose your way out. It's just that simple with all these teams. And Mash, to your question, for the mid-majors and low majors, it's all about the tournament because they recognize there's only going to be a 1-bid league. For the rest of the leagues, it's all about the grind of a regular season championship. And I think that's what matters most.
All right, so if you look at Miami's numbers, with them being undefeated, they have 0 quad 1 wins. Obviously, they have no quad 1 losses. They have 1 quad 2 win, no quad 2 losses. So the majority of their wins are coming in quad 3 and quad 4. But according to the net ranking, they're currently 52nd, and they're the only undefeated team left in America.
Yeah, it's tough because they haven't played the schedule. If you took that Auburn basketball team and played that schedule that Miami of Ohio, would they win their league? Probably, just from talent alone. But we put so much emphasis on the strength of schedule several years ago. And so you saw Nate Oates, Bruce Pearl, those types of programs start ramping up the non-conference. And there's so much that is put into the quad system in the net rankings. It's tough. I would love to see Miami of Ohio in the tournament regardless. But how much of this is what we have instilled in programs across the country, Power 4 programs especially, schedule tough. This is going to matter come March. I'm not saying Auburn deserves to be in. If you listen to the first 30 minutes of the show, I don't care to watch this particular team play anymore this season. But it's a tough debate, and it's one that we have between two teams. The tough thing is, though, we're talking about an Auburn team, and let's just go back to the final stretch. The final stretch of games and losing to the Mississippi States, to the Oklahomas, to the Ole Misses. LSU, it's a moot point, but I don't know.
Here, my thing with it is, for a number of weeks now, and I know we talk a lot about how the polls don't really matter that much, but for weeks now, you've had a group of people that cover college basketball that have declared that this team is worthy of being ranked in the top 25 in Miami, Ohio. They are the 21st best team in college basketball, according to the AP poll. So now magically, if they lose one game in a conference tournament, they go from being the 21st best team to the 69th. That's where I have a problem with it is you have shown that you respect what they've done enough to rank them in the top 25 for weeks now, and you lose one game and then it's, well, you look at all these metrics and they don't deserve to be there. Then why are they ranked right now? If that's really how you feel about them, they shouldn't be in the top 25. But if they're going to be in the top 25, lose one game, and fall all the way out of the tournament, I think that's a bunch of crap in my opinion.
Well, to me, what has happened is, I mean, you can't discount what Auburn did. I agree with Bruce Pearl 100% in regards to the best win on a resume is at Florida. But I'm sorry, but when you lose to the 96th best team according to the analytics in Mississippi State, that kind of takes a chip off that win at Florida, in my opinion. And then when you lose at home to a team that lost 10 games in a row in Ole Miss, that is 79th, according to Ken Palm, then that's problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can say all you want to about playing a tough schedule, but I mean, if you played 16 games in quad one, but you only won 5 of them, what are you really saying?
What's the argument? And we brought it up before. It's the same argument we had with Alabama football 2 years ago. You beat Georgia, and that was great. But you can't lose to a bad Oklahoma team. You can't lose to Vanderbilt. You didn't get in the playoff because of those losses. The win was great. It kept you in the conversation. But you got to win those games against
all the
bad
goodwill,
teams.
all the credibility that you thought you had with the tournament, and you should. You're right. They played those games that they won, but it feels like that those would be negated by bad losses, especially in crunch time when you knew the situation, must win, must win, must win, and you go out there and you're not good. You're either not in the game from the opening tip, or you get behind, you come back like they did against Mississippi State. You retake the lead only to see it fall in the final 3 minutes of the game. I think that negates things, doesn't it? Because if we were talking about a balance, if there was some balance here, and this was the debate, and you had beaten Oklahoma, you had beaten Mississippi State, you had handled your business at home against Ole Miss, it's an easier conversation to have. But Auburn has played themselves into this situation.
If you just win 2 of those 3 games, you're fine. You're sitting pretty right
But
now.
I think it will work itself out, and I think it already has worked itself out. You saw that team on Saturday not show up against an inferior team. A team, by the way, that they went to the pavilion and beat by double digits early in the season.
Yeah, beat them by 12.
When this team actually had some swagger and looked like they still liked each other. A lot of questions to be answered. But if you're asking me, no, absolutely not.
1-800-239-WJOX. The text line is open at 205-834-9450. More coming up on Three Man Front. It is Reaction Monday. We're going to get to your phone calls at 1-800-239-WJOX. 205-834-9450 is the text line. It is wide open. We've got plenty to get to over the next couple hours.
Hey, if you need help, maybe preventative maintenance, or you're like me and you have a battery issue, you can turn to our friends at the Garage in Pelham. Local owners that are here from the area. They live here in the community and have been in business for years. When you call, you're going to speak to one of their friendly staff members on site, like Robert or Richie. They're listening to Jocks right now. Hope you guys are doing well for a Monday. Also, your AC checks. It's going to be warming up beginning today. We know that spring is here. Summer's going to be here very, very soon. They have a $40 off AC check coupon there on the homepage. You want your AC to be functioning properly. These guys are great at getting it done or making sure that you're good to go. It's worth the drive, located conveniently there in Pelham off of 31. They regularly have people come from all over Birmingham and the surrounding area. In fact, a customer recently that moved to Montgomery still leaves their vehicle at the Garage in Pelham for all of their significant services and repairs. 5-star rating everywhere you look. And they also want you to know that if it's your wife, it's your daughter, your girlfriend, they want women especially to feel comfortable, which is why they have the showroom, the lobby there, and the folks that are working there to handle all of that. It's thegarageinpelham.com. Thegarageinpelham.com. Check out the reviews. Always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
All right, let's get to the phones. 1-800-239-WJOX. This is Reaction Monday. If you want to talk a little hoops or anything else you saw over the weekend, we welcome that on the number 1-800-239-WJOX.
Let's go to Chris. Chris, what's up?
What's going on, guys? How's it been?
Chris, how are you, sir?
Things are looking good. I give the Bama B-ball their flowers. I give them an extra flower this week.
That was a big win up on Rocky Top.
I wouldn't say big win, but it's a good win for your ranking.
Well, hold on a
Hey,
second.
hey,
How would you
hang on.
define a big win then?
What do they need to do?
They have to constantly dominate. And I mean, when they have SEC championship time, they have to win it all. And
But this is a big win. If they want to do that, this is a big win in setting them up to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama's now a top 15 team in the net ranking. They haven't been there in a long
but
time.
It's still impressive to me. I told you I'm upping the standard for them because
You're a tough critic.
this is the time for them to get. Oh, in their case, yeah, because you've been in this position before, but yet you have to constantly just do the bare minimum to get by. And let's be honest, the game still was close to the final 24 seconds. And also when it comes to the Auburn side of things, you know what they say? Another man's trash is another man's pleasure. Because my issue with y'all is I don't see how y'all don't want to see Auburn in the whole March Madness shebang, because what better pleasure you can get than seeing them lose?
We've seen that enough in the last month and a half.
No, more.
We've had our fill.
It's like cocaine. I'm Tony Montana. Them lines just don't miss.
Huh?
I said it's like Auburn losing is like cocaine, and I'm Tony Montana. Okay, those lines must be snorted, baby.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you for the phone call. Not big on Alabama. The standard is still at the top. That was not a big win, apparently, in Rocky Top.
I guess it's replaced football because he has low expectations for the football team now. So
Maybe so. 205-834-9450. A lot of your texts rolling in on the Jocks text line. This one rolls in. It says, over the last few weeks, Auburn has proven itself to be now one of the worst teams in the conference. Lost to Ole Miss at home is a must-win. Had Ole Miss lost 10 in a row. I think that's what I heard. No, Auburn had controlled that series. And it took this Auburn basketball team to do it. Not only do it, but do it at home.
I was gonna say, that's the first time Ole Miss beat Auburn in 5 years. I think it was 2021.
Danny asked, how bad does it feel that they're still considering Auburn as one of the top 64 teams?
I think it's more of an indication of how important it is to have a tough schedule.
Mark in Homewood says, do nepotism babies generally command respect in the workplace? War Pearl. And some stuff rolling in on cheddar bacon lasagna. We'll get to that in the next hour. You remember him?
The 26-year-old superstar.
How quick did he get ejected in the Yale game in the NCAA tournament?
It's quick.
It was real fast.
Wasn't it like 2 minutes in or something?
Yep. Brush up that resume. Or be prepared to travel.
Or sue the NCAA and get another year.
Hey!
I think we have a winner.
What is he, 30 now?